all your work, Chief of Staff Montgomery.
You are very welcome, sir.
It's been a very busy week, I think, for a lot of us.
Yeah.
I also want to thank all of you for agreeing to join this militarized equipment ad hoc. It's my first time on this ad hoc. I think Commissioner um, Farmer has formerly been a member of the ad hoc, as has been, I think, one of the officers who's joining us. I don't know who else has been. I know John Lindsay Pullen. I don't know if he's going to join us
He's here.
tonight. Oh,
He's
he's
here.
here. Okay.
Yes, he's here.
Yeah. Okay. John
And
is also.
so's Amaya Erickson. She's a past member.
Okay.
And Jennifer too acknowledged the receipt, but mentioned that she wasn't going to be at this meeting, but she will be.
Right. Right. I want to thank all of you for joining us through this new startup of the ad hoc. Um, so all I wanted to do at this meeting was to kind of have us introduce ourselves and talk about the work that we have before us and try to lay out all the work that's before us. So I think we've identified most of the members. Um, and let me just mention a couple of things that I know that's on our table. Well, before that, I had put forward as the most convenient time for us to meet was the first and third Tuesdays at this time of 6:30, and it seems to have worked for most of us. I don't know if there's any problem with that. We have another commissioner, DeWitt. Have you joined us
Yep,
now?
I'm
Here, yeah.
here.
Oh, great. Okay. So that works for you. That was one of our concerns, that it was working for particularly all the commissioners and all the other folks who, could possibly be a part of it. So you can mark that down on your calendars, the first and third Tuesdays of the month at 6:30 to 7:30, essentially. Um, I know that John has already submitted some notes on the 2024 report, and I think that was just a brush by John. You might have some other things that you'd want to add, I would guess.
Yeah, well, I could go in a little bit deeper on any of the points that I made. I mean, it was mostly questions, but also some of it referenced the state law AB 481 and what's required in the reports. But yeah.
Yeah, so my thought was that we would get into the report deeply in our next meeting. Not so much in this meeting, just to make sure everybody knew that we were going to be dealing with that report and was able to get a copy of it and get into it a bit. I know I haven't gotten into it very much. Is that okay with everyone? Would that work for everyone? Um, I don't know if there's a timeline for the report to be brought to the council. Does anyone know whether there's a timeline? Officer Deza
Hey, good
Omar?
evening. Good evening, sir. It's good to see you again. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Rouse. I do apologize. Captain Dazakiros lent me his name today, so you'll see two of us on the line. It's Acting Captain William Febble, worked in part in the report, along with our
Okay.
coordinator, Ms. Kima Joseph. No, thank you for hosting the meeting today. The report, it basically says we have about 60 days to present it to the council and hold a community meeting. So that gives us a couple months.
Okay. All right, then we have some time to get into it, into some depths. One of the other issues that I know has been of concern to me and some others folks is the commitment the city made to essentially let go of the Bearcat. And I don't think that that has happened yet. Go ahead. You want to say something
Oh, yes, sir. If you'd like, we can have a part of that discussion now.
about the Bearcat?
Indeed, sir.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Could you identify yourself? Because you're looking like Officer DQ there.
Yeah. So,
Febble.
William Febble, sir, Captain William
Do you,
Febble.
do you mind turning on your camera, Lieutenant Febble? I just want to put a name with a face.
No, unfortunately, the connection that I have, if I do that, it's going to be really scratchy. It'll cause lots of irritation for everybody. I do apologize for the inconvenience. But
Okay.
you've seen me before. I believe, Mr. Farmer, I've seen you several times.
Yeah, you were at the community outreach meeting at the church last July, right? That was you, right?
That's me, sir.
Yeah, I've seen you
Okay.
before
All
also.
right.
It's great to see everybody again. So
Go
yeah,
ahead.
with regard to the Lenko Bearcat, I do recall in the last meeting that the question came up, and that what's OPD's position on the Bearcat. As we all know, I believe it was March in 2021. There was discussion on the implications of the Bearcat and the department's ability to decommission the Bearcat for an option that would lend us the same abilities as well as protection of the Bearcat, but not be so forthright in the community. We have realized that the brand Lenko has released a newer model, visually less intrusive, um, similar vehicle that would fit the needs in part of the Oakland Police Department. And you can find it on Lenko's website, and it's called a Lenko SUV. So it's actually built. It's not built on an MRAP chassis. That's a military um, grade chassis that's designed obviously for explosives as well as protection, hence the acronym MRAP. This one is actually built on a Ford chassis, a Ford F550 chassis. It is visually, I would say, significantly less intrusive, but it does remain armored and allowing protection for individuals during rescue operations. Very importantly, what finally is a need that can be met with this vehicle is that it has an upper hatch. And that upper hatch obviously allows persons on the interior in an emergency to escape, unlike our SUVs. And it also allows persons to quickly be evacuated through the top hatch if need be, if we were evacuating from an elevated position. It is less costly than a full size Lenko Bearcat, but we believe that because of the lowered capacity of only having 6 persons to a maximum of 8 persons, and being that we do operate with operating teams of particularly about 5 persons, that we would need 2 of these vehicles to replace the one full size Bearcat that we have. But the good news is that it's a I believe it's a good option. It fulfills the needs of the safety and ability to rescue from the community. It's less costly than the full size Bearcat, and with the procurement of 2 of these from an appropriate source, then we could decommission the Bearcat permanently with the chief's permission.
Okay, I think John put that in the chat. Um, so I think there also might be some issues around crowd control. I don't know if Commissioner Farmer, you wanted to speak to some of those concerns?
Yeah, sure. Before we get to that, I just want to respond to what Lieutenant Febble just reported. Thank you for reporting out on that, Lieutenant Febble. And myself and John Lindsay Poland were part of the Militarized Equipment Ad Hoc Committee back in 2020 to 2021, where we created the new armored vehicles training bulletin policy. And what was agreed upon between the department and the commission was to replace the Bearcat with a different vehicle. And the department reported out on the vehicles that they were looking into replacing the Bearcat with at one of the September meetings of 2021. And one of the issues with the Bearcat back in the beginning was that when you purchased it back in 2008, maybe it was, that they didn't go through a community review process. And, that it has triggered people's trauma in the community, as well as that the department did not have any credible intelligence showing that they needed something to that level of ballistic protection, which is up to 50 caliber rounds. So the agreement between the commission and the department within the resolution, which is on our police commission page, was to replace it with the vehicle that everybody agreed with would be more innocuous for the community. So those examples of vehicles are provided. And the department also, at a police commission meeting in 2019, came to the commission and requested to get another Bearcat. And the commission shot it down. They said no. And at that meeting, which you can look up online, the department said that the Bearcat was in the shop more than it was available, and that it was too costly due to all the hard stops that it has to do. So between that meeting and the 2020 to 2021 timeframe, the department and the commission have already come to agreement. The department should not be able to go out there without ballistic protection up to the level that you have intelligence for. We just don't agree that it should be a Bearcat. And the department agreed with that and has agreed to replace it. They said that they would be able to replace it within 12 to 18 months. And as of last March, it's been 4 years. So that's what occurred. I was a part of that ad hoc. There was also a community petition put together where several community-based organizations and people from the community also signed on to have this done. And everyone already agreed on this. So the idea to purchase another Bearcat or even two, to me, is just going backwards from what has already been agreed to between the department and the commission. In regards to, do you have any response to that? And then I'm going to go forward to the crowd control.
Well, regarding the replacement of the Bearcat, the new model specifically by Lenco addresses some of those concerns for having what they call as a low profile design for the community. With regard to the 2021 agreement between the ad hoc as well as the agency, I'm happy to have our city attorneys look into that document if you wish to do so. I would implore everybody on this meeting to actually take a look at this vehicle. I believe it bridges the gap on what all parties want, while also being able to provide adequate safety during rescue missions where we do in fact encounter persons with high caliber weapons, to include AK-47s. So I would be able to provide this information if you would like to look it up on your own.
Okay, thank you. But like I said, at that point, up to that point, from 2008 to 2021, the department did not have any intelligence showing that they encountered weapons up to 50 caliber rounds. And this is what they agreed to. The department already came up with vehicles that everyone thought were suitable at a 2021 September, I think it was September 23rd meeting, whatever the second meeting of September was of that year. So, okay, we can discuss that more later. And then in regards to crowd control, what you and I discussed on the phone the other day, Wilson, was how, well, the historic issue with crowd control, a couple of the
You're breaking up a little
the
bit.
Black Lives Matter. Okay. Can you hear me still, or?
Yes, again, go ahead.
Yes, okay. Yeah, so one of the issues was at a Black Lives Matter protest at Mosswood Park in 2020 when tear gas was inappropriately deployed on the protesters, which resulted in several lawsuits. I think these lawsuits are one of the reasons why investigations for the department are still kind of jammed up. So at a subsequent police commission meeting, the police chief discussed with the commission why this occurred, and they said it had to do with reckless disregard on the behalf of the department. So, and one of the lawsuits that resulted for the department, I believe, as a result of this protest or maybe another protest, was another lawsuit that they received where a judge, maybe a magistrate judge, put an injunction on the department from being able to use tear gas for a certain period of time. And one of the root causes for why, those are just two examples of why those two examples occurred, was due to issues with the incident commander, who is the person who's basically in charge of that type of crisis situation, the person who makes decisions about what level of force to use, what's appropriate, etc. And one of the discussions that we had with the department, I asked the chief at the time, have they ever looked into having an incident command policy? And that was one of the things that was uncovered, that there was no actual policy that governed incident command to be able to hold them closer to being, to accountability. So as a result of one of the recommendations from the reimagining effort, which was people from throughout the city, from every district. The police department collaborated with the people on that. The police collaborated with that. I was in charge of that working group. I had discussions with the president of the police union and other people, the command staff. And what everyone thought would be good for the city is to have a crowd control specific ordinance. As well, and part of that recommendation also was to develop an incident commander policy to help the department hold people closer, to accountability and to keep residents safer. So that was the issue with that. And just speaking from my own personal experience as someone who did force protection as part of the military overseas at a base and in charge of things like that, the military's even gotten rid of the use of using tear gas against non-residents. So to come back from Operation Enduring Freedom and Operation and to see police departments still using that on their own people, to me is not a proportional response to peaceful protest. Now there might be a time and place to use higher levels of force, but it's been used inappropriately in the past and cost the city and the department millions of dollars. So that's kind of where I wanted to start the discussion with that, is at least with developing an incident command policy and to discuss, the use of tear gas or whether to retire it. So that's all I have to say about it. Take up all the time.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And so I think that this is something that we definitely want to get into. We want that, I don't know how much more in the meeting today we want to get into it. I guess we need to have some kind of policy to look at, and you did indicate a willingness maybe to draft up something, so maybe we can come back to that. But go ahead, John, and then Captain Omar. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, thank you. And I share a lot of Commissioner Farmer's concerns, but I kind of want to back up and just see if we can introduce each other, ourselves to each other. Because I think we don't all know each other. It'd be great to understand what brought us here, especially for the commissioners and the community members. I also think, the OPD officers here I don't think the names on here, your cameras aren't on, and so we can't see you, but the names are not correct. I would like to know who the panelists are that we're sharing this meeting with. But I'd also like to know, so I mean, I can If that's okay, Commissioner Riles, if that's a good way to go, I would hope that we
Well,
could.
I'll have you do that in a moment. I think Captain Febble wanted to say something before about what we were just talking about, and then we'll come back to you, John, if that's okay.
Go ahead, Captain Desikiros.
Sorry?
Oh, I apologize, sir. I believe it was Captain Desikiros that had his hand up.
Okay.
No. Okay. First off, can you see me? Is my camera working or no?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay. It doesn't even show that I can't even see myself. But I think what happened, just for clarification, is a lot of us, I'm from Oakland PD, lieutenant, been there for 19 years. I think a lot of us didn't get the Zoom links maybe. So I was sending out my Zoom link to everybody. So I'm trying to rename everybody. But I think it's actually Captain Toribio that has his name up. And I'm trying to re-edit his name as we speak. So I'll turn it over to him. I was able to do Captain Febble's name, but I haven't been able to do, as I'm trying to re-edit Toribio's name.
You're identified as Captain Febble, DQ. You can
No, it's
change
a
your
different
own
guy.
name. You
Yeah.
can't really change someone else's name. Other people, other panelists can change their own name. You can
Okay.
change.
So I'm identified as Febble now for some reason.
I think
Okay.
if you just click the three dots in the top right, you can change your name.
Yeah, let me see. But that's the issue was I had to share my link with everybody. So just FYI. So I'll turn it over to, is it Captain Turbio? You had something or no?
Yeah, Acting Captain Toribio. I'm currently assigned to BFO 1, Area 1, as the area commander. I started that just at the end of February when Captain Rob Muniz retired. Prior to that, I was assigned to the training division. So I'm still officially a lieutenant. I'm sorry I don't have a video feed for this meeting. Still a lieutenant. I am assigned as a tactical commander. I did just want to make a couple comments regarding some things that were mentioned earlier. So thank you for speaking to prior instances regarding use of armored vehicle and of chemical munitions. Since those events, we had like a court injunction, which has since expired, but the point and stipulation
You're breaking up.
policy for armored vehicle deployment. There are much more stringent restrictions which put the onus of responsibility on incident commanders or tactical crews to be the ones that are authorizing the use of chemical munitions versus leaving it in the hands of an operator to make a judgment based on what they're seeing. So we have policy that has been drafted and implemented since then. And it is written in policy, actually, that we're not allowed to deploy armored vehicles for the purposes of crowd control. So there were lessons learned or takeaways that occurred from those incidents in the early 2020s and even prior. And we have not had such deployments, which would be against policy since. So I think that's important to contextualize. Regarding the other information about decommissioning the Bearcat, to my knowledge, that verbiage is not listed in policy. Although anecdotally, I can speak to hearing discussions about that in the past. There has been a lot of changeover in command and personnel with the folks that are kind of in place now. We'll work to kind of gather that documentation, see what happened, see if the ball was dropped, where it was dropped, and what we can do to kind of resume those things. So it's not an excuse, just a matter of fact that turnover does play kind of a factor, and things that are kind of done midway when there's a transfer of responsibilities, things kind of get lost in the shuffle. So thanks for bringing that to our attention. I do look forward to helping in looking at this data and reporting back later and coming to a resolution on this.
Appreciate that, Lieutenant Toribio. So John, I think your suggestion was an excellent one. We're going to have to, I think, come back after a little policy search on some of these other issues. So John, why don't you introduce yourself? I know you were a former member of the ad hoc when it was functioning prior.
Sure. So my name is John Lindsay Poland. I live in Oakland, in Lakeshore area near the lake, and I am work for the American Friends Service Committee. And a lot of our work has been monitoring the use and policies and reports on military equipment by law enforcement agencies all across the state. In 2019, when Oakland was first considering an ordinance on militarized equipment, we worked with members of the police commission and community members, had meetings with the department about that ordinance, which was then enacted in 2021. At the same time as the state was also passing a state law, which is substantially similar to the local ordinance on military equipment, but not exactly the same. And so we look at these reports all over, and as I live in Oakland, and I also care very much about this issue. When I was invited to be on this ad hoc, I hope that I can contribute something. So that's me.
Yeah, I will also plead that John and I have had a long relationship. I'm a former regional director of the American Friends Service Committee and a relatively inactive member of the Healing Justice Committee, for which he's the lead staff person for. Miss Eloise Epstein, would you introduce yourself, please?
Yes. So I'm Eloise. I live here in Oakland in Redwood Heights. This is my first participation in anything like this, or first community participation. My day job is as a procurement and supply chain consultant, helping large companies improve their logistical capabilities. I'm also an adjunct professor in military history at Norwich University, and my training is as a military historian. And my dissertation was about the demilitarization of the San Francisco Bay Area. So,
Oh,
I'm
great. Okay.
happy to be here.
Thank you very much. Tuan, could you introduce yourself, please? Is Tuan still on?
Yes, sorry.
Uh,
Yeah, my name is Tuan No. I'm a resident, live in the MacArthur BART station area, and just wanting to have some free time and wanting to get involved in some community issues. So thank you for having this, and I like to learn more about what's going on in Oakland.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your volunteering and being a part of this. Stephen Geist?
Hey there. Steve Geist, lived in Oakland since the 1990s. Raised a couple kids here. I've lived downtown. Right now I live near Lake Merritt, and I own a business here. And I've also just want to do community-minded work, and just wanted to get a good feel for what this group is about and what our goals and needs are to meet our obligations. But definitely
right.
interested to hear everybody.
Thank you. Thank you also for joining. Did everyone have an opportunity to introduce themselves? So we have also Lieutenant Taribo. You've been a member, I think, before, right? Lieutenant Toribio?
I'm sorry, sir. I heard my name, but for about 7 to 8 seconds, I couldn't hear a thing. Rose, could you repeat that, please?
Just introduce yourself very briefly, if you could.
Yes, sir. I did a few moments ago. I gave kind of the largest spiel. I'm the acting captain for BFO1 Area 1. I think what happened is I may have been renamed by Dr. Kiros.
There you
Yeah,
go.
I couldn't change my my name. I think Mr. Lindsay pointed out that panelists have to be the ones to change it. So it looks like Lieutenant DQ fixed it.
Actually, it
Very
was
good.
me. So just a bit of
There you go.
housekeeping.
Credit where credit is due. Then
Let
credit where
me
credit
make
is
sure
due.
everyone's clear. when you are a Zoom participant, you will receive an individual link. It is unique to you. So no passing it on. You cannot do that because this happens. So if one of you could please just follow up with me after the meeting and let me know who from your side will be on, then I can make sure everyone has their own unique link. Okay? Thank you.
And Captain Febo, did you want to add anything to your, you kind of introduced yourself a little bit. Do you want to add anything?
Yeah, good evening. And for anybody who I haven't met before, Acting Captain William Febble. I've been a part of many of these ad hocs leading up to this. I took over for Lieutenant Thomason back in 2023, working on this. It's been a large part of many people's input and hard work. I am currently the acting captain of Oakland BFO Area 4, which is basically from 22nd Avenue to High Street. And I do appreciate the invitation this evening.
So Angeles Perez will not be participating. Is that my understanding? Correct?
Toribio here. I will find out. I know he's unavailable tonight. He has kind of pre-existing engagement that had to be attended to, and we also have something happening later on tonight that he has to prep for. But I'll check back and see if he's going to be a contributing member here.
All right, thank you. And John, I guess Jennifer is indicating she'll be a member. Is Erickson Bonilla going to be a member?
Amaya, she's here.
He.
Amaya.
Oh, Amaya, please introduce yourself.
You're on mute, Amaya.
Hello.
Hello?
You're breaking up, E.
Hello.
Oh, is it Erickson Amaya?
Oh.
Not Amaya Erickson? Pardon me. Erickson Amaya.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Sorry.
much.
Yeah. But
E, can you introduce yourself?
uh, for having me to see with San Sueños. I'm a resident here in District 7. Oh, bad connection.
Oh, I think I invited you to be a member. Is that not right, Erickson?
Connection. Were y'all able to hear me previously?
No, we
Not
missed it.
really. He disconnected.
Oh, okay. All right. So thank you, John, for having us do that. I think that was
I haven't had
important.
the chance to introduce myself yet.
Yes, of course.
Hey
Go ahead.
everybody, my name is Samuel Dawitt. Please call me Sam, Commissioner Dawitt. I am a commissioner here on the Oakland Police Commission, so this is my first time here on the Militarized Equipment Ad Hoc. Very interested to see, what we can do here and help the police department.
Very good. Okay, just let me ask either the captain or the lieutenant whether a date has been set for the community meeting yet. You said it would be a couple of months. I don't know if a date has been set.
No, Mr. Rouse, actually, that date typically is set on your team's behalf. You guys will host a meeting and a public forum meeting, and OPD will participate to provide macro level information to the community that's questioned. And that's supposed to be done within 60 days, sir.
So Chair, before we move on with that one, I'll find out because there's been discussion with Katina and Chair about whether it's supposed to be hosted by the police commission, the police department, not by the commission and the police department joins. So I'll get clarity on that from Katina and Chair on how that's supposed to go as far as the charter is concerned.
That sounds
Appreciate
great.
that. And I think either way that it goes, I think the commissioners and all of those folks here and their connections would want to make that a successful meeting. So either
Yes,
way, we're going to lend some energy to
absolutely.
it. So I think that pretty much lays out the work.
Can I
Go
say
ahead,
something
John.
about the community meeting? So, as I said before, there's a local ordinance and there's a state law.
Right.
And the report that OPD issued is in response to the requirements of both the local ordinance and the state law. Both require annual reports. The state law requires a community engagement meeting within 30 days of publicly posting the military equipment report. That meeting is supposed to be publicly accessible and well advertised. In the past, the commission has hosted such a community engagement meeting. The local ordinance requires a meeting by the commission to consider the report within 60 days. So the commission could satisfy both requirements by having a community engagement meeting that satisfies the state law as well as the local ordinance. That would need to be, to satisfy the state law, it would need to be within 30 days of the OPD publishing the report. And because the state law requires that the public be able to ask questions and discuss, it can't really be Brown acted, right? Because members of the public, and so many departments, they have a separate meeting. You know, a lot of departments don't have an oversight body. But whether or not they do, they have a separate meeting, sometimes virtual, sometimes hybrid, sometimes in person, in which members of the public can engage, right? Because a lot of
Mm,
there's a presentation by the PD or the sheriff's office, and then there's a chance for the members of the public to say, "What is this?" or "I don't really understand this," and then the department can respond, or they can make a comment. It doesn't have to be a question, right? That satisfies the law, and it also means that the public really gets a better sense of, and also can express concerns. So, in a way that there can be a conversation. So that's just I wanted to put that out there because both the ordinance and the state law are operating for Oakland.
Thank you so
gotcha.
much, John. I do wanted to add something else though, Commissioner Rouse. I don't know if you recall when we had our meeting at Allen Temple last year,
Hmm.
and the militarized equipment report was put on the agenda, but there was concerns that it was being used in that meeting, which it wasn't necessarily the public event. So all I'm saying is that let's make sure that we're doing it correctly. Let's make sure that it's specific to this so that when
Hmm.
Mr. Lindsay Pollen says it's about this, we're talking about that, the militarized, and it's just not diluted in other things necessarily. So
Mm.
I'll bring back to you, Chair Riles, what I learned from Katina. Everybody, Katina is our attorney and our chair about the best way we should move forward so we can support the police department. If they're going to do one there on their own, then we're going to be right there. If we're going to host it for you, then we'll coordinate that.
Absolutely. And you may want to also get some clarity about what publishing and posting of the report exactly means. I don't know if the department has put this report on their website yet. And then it's got to go before the commission, and the commission is going to, I think, send it forward to the city council. So we need to get some clarity as to when the clock starts
Yeah.
in terms of the publishing and posting.
Okay, I'll follow up with all of the appropriate parties.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So that's, go ahead. Oh, that's someone was, that's pretty much all that I wanted to cover in this meeting. I wanted to make sure that, did everyone get a copy of the report? I think it was sent out in one of the emails.
Could you try again?
Yes.
So what we want to do is spend the time in the next meeting going more deeply into the report and raising whatever questions or comments that we want to at that Tuesday meeting, the third Tuesday of the month. Any other questions or comments from anyone?
Steve here, and could there maybe an agenda or anything we should be focusing on that we could help beforehand, prepping for the meeting?
I think John sent out some questions. John Lindsay Pullen sent out some questions in an email, which was a lot of his first takes. I've not gone through it, so I don't have yet any questions to present to you around that. I mean, I think there are definitely the issues around the Bearcat, which would probably come up in the report, since the Bearcat is still listed in the report as an item that the department has.
I think Steve is right that it would be helpful to structure the discussion because, you know, someone might have a concern about the Bearcat. Like, for example, what are the requirements under the local ordinance and under the state law for reviewing these reports? The council has obligations, but also under the local ordinance, the commission does as well. There's a timeline that was just asked about. So I think, you know, some way of sort of structuring the discussion, because there's a long report. There's a lot, it's very dense. There's a lot in it. And being able to structure that conversation, I think would help all of us. So that we're not.
I hear that.
I wanted to ask, I know there's somebody from the public on the line. So I had two questions. One is whether that person, whether anybody from the public can be invited to give a comment if they want, at some point at the end or whatever, whenever. But also, I guess this is a question for Micah, where materials will be posted, like the recording of this session. I know there was a page that the former militarized equipment ad hoc had, and the agendas and the materials were posted there. Is that going to be used again as a public access point as well as for us?
I'm not sure of that particular folder that was used prior to me joining, but what I've done for the different ad hocs is I will compile the minutes. In that email, you'll have the minutes. You will also have a video of the recording, so you can access that information. And then you'll also have a link to all of the ad hocs that the commission does, so you can reference it that way. If there's, you know, a document that chair or any of the acting captain says, hey, this is something that the committee needs to have, then either you can send it to the entire group so everybody has it, or if you want to send it to me, then I can send it to the entire group so that everyone has it. If there's a particular subject we're going to be talking about and chair says, hey, I need everyone to have this, then I may attach it to the calendar invite. So there's different ways we could do it. Yeah, but that's typically how I've done it for the other ad hocs.
Right on. So I'll do some thinking
Sorry.
about the agenda and the report and try to get something out before the meeting. Go ahead, Commissioner Farmer.
Yeah, thank you. I also agree that it would be helpful if it's possible, if the anyone listening to the meetings, are they able to ask any questions via chat, or can they make some sort of public comment in the beginning or at the end of a meeting? You know, that's feedback that the commission has received in the past that people wanted to be able to do. And I believe that since the commission received that feedback, they have been able to provide that in some of the ad hocs, but not all of them. But I think just for transparency purposes and inclusion for everybody, that would be great if we can add that. And I also second the idea for the agenda. And if you needed, you know, a second hand on that, I can help you out with that as well.
So the public-facing ad hocs. Anyone that's attending, like we have one attendee, but their name is just 697761. I have no idea who it is, but they can be allowed to talk. So if they raise their hand or they put something in the chat, then I can allow them to talk. That's no problem at all.
Okay, thank you.
And that's for all of our all of our public facing ad hocs. Now that's different from our regular OPC meetings, right? It's not as easy as flipping the switch on and letting people talk because they're on Zoom. But for our ad hocs, because it's a smaller group and it's easier to manage, then I can absolutely give people the ability to speak if they're
appreciate that clarity. Thank you.
So with that, I can allow 697761 to speak so they can introduce themselves to you all. Let's see here. I'm asking them to unmute. Hello, 697761. If you can unmute yourself, you can say hello to everyone. Let me see if I can unmute them myself. I can't
I mean, if
unmute
they
them
want
myself.
to, I mean, I want to force someone.
Is that me?
There you are. Hey, welcome. Yes.
Hi. No, I just wanted to listen in. I attended several of the ad hoc committee meetings, and I was not didn't know much about it when I attended it. So I thought, okay, I could come to the meetings and find out more what you guys doing and where we are.
That's perfect. Welcome. Perfect.
Thank you.
What was your name?
Zenobia.
Zenobia, welcome. You can come anytime. And like they were saying, if you want to speak or you have something to contribute, because we definitely welcome your participation in that way as well, just put something in the chat and then I can unmute you or ask you to unmute yourself.
Thank you. At this point, I would not. I just want to listen and become informed.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Okay, thank you, everyone, and got a lot of work ahead, and I do appreciate all of your participation, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you, and take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.
You're welcome.